And good afternoon, everybody. Today is the week before Texas school. So we're in the end of April and a little over a month away from West Coast school. So, yeehaw, here we go. Going to be fun. So let's go ahead and start up the important stuff. Number one, coming up, Texas school, my class is pretty much sold out. They have a wait list on it right now. But West Coast school, if you're still looking to learn Photoshop for a whole week, June 8th through the 13th, 2025, West Coast School in Valencia, California. If you have never been to West Coast School, you don't know what you're missing. It is a blast, and you actually learn a whole lot too. So don't be afraid to go to West Coast School and have some fun. So, moving the advertisements out of the way, and thank you, John Powers, for your recent donation to the
Oh,
cause. I do appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead and start the new one. We've done this before, but we'll do it again just for fun. I'm going to start off with the new image. And to make the new image, all you have to do is go up to File, New, or you see Command or Control N. I always use Command or Control N, hit it, and pop it open. I mean, it's just that easy. I hate going up and finding up in the menus because I can't remember anymore because I use keyboard shortcuts all the time. And if I go too fast with the shortcuts, let me know and we'll kind of show where they're at on the menus as well. Um, what I want to do is I want to make kind of a sunset nighttime deal. So I want to first set the sky up for it. So first thing I got to do is set my colors. First color is going to be kind of a orangish sunset. And the color I picked is F46A07. And you see it comes up a dark orange. I'm even going to darken it a little bit more. And if you're looking for the RGB colors, down here on the bottom of the color picker, you have R, which is red, 216, G, 93, which is green, B for blue, which is 5. And you hit OK. And then we're going to set the background color. And we need kind of a dark blue. So I'm going to start with 082E48. And to me, that's not quite dark enough and not quite blue enough. So I'm going to add just a touch of blue, but let the slider go up a little bit and then bring it down just a hair. And it's almost to the black, but not quite. And I'm going to hit G for gradient, or you come over to the toolbar on the left-hand side, and then you have the gradient tool. Ah, G for gradient, no problem. And I'm going to just click and drag, and it's upside down. Oh, gosh darn, how did that happen? So what I'll do is just drag the orange down to the bottom. I'm going to drag it a little bit below, and you can see the gradient kind of changes from orange to the dark blue. I'm not sure I like that dark blue yet, so let's go ahead and get some more. There we go, a little bit better there. And I'm going to bring the slider down a little bit. And if you look at the slider, you can bring it so it's like a harsh line, or right there, it's kind of a soft gradient is what you're looking for. And it also puts it on its own layer. The gradient tool is now live, so you can make these changes before you drag it and go, nope, drag it, go, nope. But it's live now, so it's easy to work with. So we have a gradient set. That's our darkest blue sky. And I'm going to add another layer on top of it. And I'm going to call this grass. And it's always good to name your layers because when you get 15 or 20 layers and you're looking, it's hard to figure out which layer is which. So I'm going to title this grass. And all you have to do is double click on the word for that layer. It highlights it, just start typing. You don't have to erase what's there if it's highlighted. Okay, moving on. We need some grass. So I'm going to go B for brush. And in brush, I have a whole bunch of brushes here. What I'm looking for is my grass brush. So I'm going to click here and say grass. You can search for your brush. So when you make new brushes, make sure you name them so that you can find them really easily. Soft round brush number 475. Okay. So we'll do my grass brush. And I got to change the colors because I don't want orange as my grass brush. Command Z. So I'm going to hit the color picker and we're going to come down to the greens. And I want a very, very dark green because this is almost nighttime. Click OK. And then more dark green. And we'll go super dark because it's going to be semi dark. So here we go. A little bit bigger brush. And I'm just going to drag my brush across to the right. And what makes this brush work, if I go to brush settings, shape dynamics, I have size jitter at 100. So that means it's going big and small from the full spectrum. If I only did, say, 15%, it would be just about, you can't see that. Let me make a new. You can see there's no change there. If I bump my size jitter up to 100, it makes big, small, and otherwise. Scattering, the count is set to 2. I could probably bump it up to 3, depends. Count jitter, which makes it so it doesn't do the same exact rotation every time. I set to 100%. Color dynamics, hue jitter, I got it set at 22. The reason for 22, if I bump it up to 100, it's going to pick up all the different hues, the different colors. So I got that set to 22, so it's going to be basically that green and dark, dark green. And then smoothing, doesn't matter, it's turned on, don't matter to me. I'm going to close this one out, say goodbye, goodbye. And I'm going to fill in these little gaps right here so we have a lot of grass growing. And you can see that that brush would be easy to make. So you can make your own brush as well, which in Texas and West Coast School, we're making our own brushes and having fun. Okay, so I've got grass. Next thing I want to do is I want to add a tree. So I'm going to make a new layer, call this tree. Not four, but tree. Okay, never mind. Go to filter, down to render to tree. And we have a ginkgo tree. Let's see, nope. I need something that's a little bit bigger. That's not too bad. You just kind of pick out the tree that you like. If I knew what a Ficus microcarpa was, hey, that might work. Branch height a little bit higher. Leaf size, we'll take it down so there's less leaves. Leave them out. Make it bigger. And there's also advanced stuff where you can do custom colors for the leaves, flat shading, etc. And I'm just going to click OK. And there's my tree. V for move. And let's make it a little bit bigger. So we'll do a Command or Control T, which is free transform. And I'll move it off to the right just a little bit. Okay, at nighttime, you probably wouldn't see the tree like that. So I'm going to do Command and click on the icon on the tree layer, and it selects the whole tree, just the tree. And I want to fill this with I'm going to try the dark green first, which is our background color. So I'm going to hit Command and delete, and it made it almost black there. So deselect it, and that looks pretty dark. The only problem is it's on top of the grass instead of behind the grass. So with our layers, whatever's on top is in front, so I'm going to drop it down below the grass, and now it's behind the grass, so the grass is in front of it. I also want to add just a little bit of a glow, so I'm going to add an outer glow, and not a whole lot, and probably opacity, I'm going to drop it down to just enough so there's something there. And I'm going to add a little bit more gold to it just to make it look pretty. So far so good. Easy peasy, right? Well, we need something else in there. We need a moon. So let's go ahead and go to Bridge. And in Bridge, I have to shut all these folders down. I just happen to have a moon. Would you imagine that? And in Bridge, and I believe you can do this in Lightroom as well, is you can right click and then go to Place in Photoshop. And that's going to place it in the image. And I'm going to say OK to that. And I'm going to lower it behind the tree. And with the move tool, I'm just going to move it up right about there. Looks nice and realistic. We'll rename it, call it Moon. And I'm going to change the blend mode from normal. If I go to darken, the moon disappears. If I go to lighten, screen, color dodge. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. Hard light. That's a hard moon. I'm probably going to go with lighten. And it gets rid of the black that was around the moon, so I don't have to cut the moon out. And we'll do a free transform, and I'm going to put that little dot right on the center of the moon, hold the Option key, and make it just a touch bigger. There we go. Not bad. I can live with that. Not liking the tree that much, but we'll take it for now. And next but not least, we need a bird to be circling over the moon. So if I go to Bridge again, I just happen to have a vulture, and that was shot in my backyard when I lived in California. And every time they would fly over, I would run around in circles so they knew that I was alive. Somebody got that one. Okay, I want to select the bird, but part of the problem is when you select the bird, if I do select subject, it doesn't always get the feathers correct. And you can see on this area right here, the feathers aren't that great. So let's back out a little bit, and I'm going to deselect, and we're going to start over again. And I'm going to go to Select, to Sky, and this time it did a much gooder job. It's not perfect, but for me it's close enough. And I'm going to take the selection I have, and I'm going to do a Command-Shift-I, which is invert selection, or you go to Select, Inverse, and now the bird is selected. So I'm going to do a Command-J, bring him up on his own layer, and we're going to drag him over, hold the bird, I haven't let go of the mouse, click on the tab right here, then drag it down to where the moon is. Let's just make them a little bit smaller. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to Command or Control click on the icon, which selects the bird, selects everything in that layer. And I am going to fill it with the dark background layer and deselect. And I think what I'm going to do, call this bird, I'm going to make it a smart object. That way I can do some filters and change them if I want to. So I can right click and go down to Convert to Smart Object. I can go to the pancakes on the upper right side next to layers, go down to Convert to Smart Object, or I can go to Filter. Filter, Convert for Smart Filters, same exact thing. Now if I add a filter to it, go to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and it tells me where to go because I highlighted that, and I'll teach in our classes how to do that, make it highlighted. And I got it set to 2 pixels, and that's a little strong, so I'm going to go to 1 pixel blur. And that might even be a little bit strong. But the cool thing is, all I have to do is double click on the blur and go 0.5. And now it's got just a little bit of blur on it because that bird is moving. He's flying. If I turn off the blur, there's not much, but just a hint of blur there. So now we have that. And last but not least, let's put a giraffe in there. Super easy to do. We'll go to Bridge. Come on, I want you to go to Bridge. Thank you. And we'll find a giraffe. I know I put one in there. There he is. And I'm going to open him up. I'm not going to place him. I'm actually going to open him up and work him first. What I want to do is I want to select the giraffe on the right because we have a nice profile there. So I'm going to go to my object selection tools, which is object selection, quick selection, and magic wand. I'll do object selection, and I can either click on him to select him or do a select subject. Hopefully it only takes one and not both of them. And it did both, so that didn't work. So I'll click on it, deselect it, and then reselect it just using the object selection tool. And we'll do a Command J, which brings him up on his own layer. And we just have that critter all by himself. And again, this is almost nighttime, so we're going to make him into a silhouette. So I'm going to Command click on the giraffe, which selects him. And what do? We fill him with the dark color again. There we go. And you even see a little bit of hair going around the body, which is cool. And we're going to go V for move, drag him up to the tab, select it, and then drag it down. And that is like way too big. So Command T, free transform. And it's not going the direction I wanted it to because what it's doing is going wonky on me. I'm going to hit escape. And the reason why that is, when I do Command or Control T, I had done a project earlier in the week where I unlinked the height and the weight. Height and the width, not the weight. So I clicked that and it's now selected again. So now it will go in order like it's supposed to. Make him just a little bit smaller so he fits in nicely. And again, he is on top of the grass when he should be behind the grass. So let's move him down under the grass. And now he's behind the grass. We'll lower him down just a little bit so he's definitely in there. And then we need to put a little bit of an outer glow on him. Well, I've already done it once for the tree, so I don't need to redo everything. I can see where the FX is right here. So all I have to do is hold the Option or Alt key, drag it up there, and that copies it and gives me the same effect. But maybe a little bit more outer glow would be good. Just a little bit. We'll add some noise to it so it looks almost like the moon is lighting him. And color. Click OK. And if you zoom in, he's got that going on with him. So let's add some blur to him. So we're going to Option click and drag that down, see what happens. Nothing, because it's a smart filter. Okay. Right click, convert to smart object. Now let's try adding the smart filter with an option. And it still won't do it. Fine. I'll go up and do the Gaussian blur on him. And you can see the last filter I did was Gaussian blur, which was the half a pixel. Click on that, click OK, and that just added the Gaussian blur on. So now he's got some blur going around him as well. So in a matter of just a few minutes, I created something out of nothing. And probably could have done a whole lot better job if I wasn't rushing as fast as I was to trying to get it fit in, but there you go. Any questions what I just did? Going once, going twice. Command W, don't save. Command W, don't save. Command W, don't save. Oh, they're all closed. Imagine that. Let's go back to Bridge. And we're going to make a magazine. This is Danny Duffy, used to pitch for the Kansas City Royals. I think he's almost retired now. But I want to make this into a magazine. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my text or type tool and put it up in the upper left-hand corner. Better yet, let's not do that yet. Escape. Let's go ahead and select him and put him up on his own layer. The reason why I'm doing this is I want the lettering for the magazine to go behind him as well. So I clicked on select subject and there we go. Next thing, put him up on his own layer, Command or Control J, and that's super easy. So now he's up on his own layer all by his lonesome. And I'm going to go back to the background layer, go to T for type tool, go here, and we're going to use a font called ESP Regular Italic. Now here's the cool thing. Photoshop does not have that in there. Let me type in ESPN, and we'll fix it in a second. But if you're looking for fonts, a good place to go for fonts is dafont.com. And they have thousands and thousands and thousands of fonts. So I was looking for something that would match up with ESPN, and I put it in the search bar up here, and that's what it came up with, these two. And I just hit download, open it up, and I pick Italic. And if I double click on it, it should say font preview. There it is. And then it'll say install. Well, I don't need to install it because I already did. So that's all you have to do to install it. Super easy. So let's close that guy back out. Let's go back up here, go up to my ESPN. Once I've typed it in, I don't need to double click on the letters to make things happen. If I have the type tool selected and I have the font layer selected, I can just go ahead and make changes. So I'm going to go up to the top of the toolbar up here and it says set text color. Okay. What color does ESPN like to use? Red. But I want it to match his uniform. So I'm going to select color again. If I go here and try to match it up, it's not going to work. But what I can do, it brings up a color picker. So I'll just go click the color on his sleeve till I get what I like. Too dark, too light. And as the three bears say, just right. So that's got to be a whole lot bigger. I can do what's called a scrubby slider. So I get up to the T and you can see the finger changes to, has an arrow both directions. If I slide it to the right, it gets bigger. Yeah, I'm going to make this a little bigger so that it fits behind him. And that's probably a little bit too big.
Did you see that new beta version where when you move, it moves it for you wherever you want it?
Yes, I saw that. That is wicked cool. Hopefully October to be out in their um,
Right.
update version. We'll see what happens. So the reason why I put him up on his own layer is if I didn't, the ESPN would go across his head and his face. So here we have that. I want to add some text down here at the bottom. I'm not going to put it in ESPN type, so I'm going to put it in what's called Lotto. And I'm going to use regular for now, but I'm going to change it for sure.
Lato.
Lato. And
Lato.
that is a Adobe font. So to get that, all you have to do is click on the down arrow. Let me save it to white. Click on the down arrow and click on more fonts right here. And you can go find Lato, Lato. And Duffy, throwing smoke. And I know it doesn't fit there because it's way too big. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing we did before. And you can see my typo as usual. And the G is in that white area. So I'm just going to raise it up a little bit. And probably what I'll do is add a stroke, not purple. And I'm going to make it like a 1 pixel stroke, maybe 2, just so it's there to add a little highlight. Or what I can also do is make a new layer, M for marquee, and I can drop that down below. We can fill it with gray. So let's change this to gray. That looks almost like a 50% gray. Not bad. Good job, Mike. And that looks like garbage, right? So let's drop the opacity down just enough so it's there. So that's set at about 30%, and it just darkens the area so you can see the text there. Next thing I want to do is I want to add a barcode at the bottom right, because a barcode would be really cool to have on a magazine because that's what they do. So I'm going to double click this guy and make sure both layers are selected. V for move. And we're going to make it just a little bit bigger. Now you have your barcode. And you're going, Mike, how did you make that barcode? Well, Mike would be happy to tell you. What I'm going to do is close the old barcode. I'm going to do Control or Command N for new, or I'll go to File, New. And I'm going to do the 500 by 300. So the width is going to be 500 in pixels, not inches. And the height will be 300. And you can see the orientation is going to be horizontal. Resolution 300, RGB color 8-bit, transparent. I'm going to change it from transparent to white because I think white would still work. Click OK. And now I have this critter. This is what's going to be the barcode. M for marquee, and I have my marquee tool set, and make a little bit of a marquee right there. I am going to fill the marquee with black. So to get black, what you can do is you can come over here and find that little dot right under the banana. I mean, come on, that's too hard to find. Hit D for default, and my black is there. So just that easy. And I'm going to fill that with black. If you want, you can use your paint bucket tool, which is in the toolbar somewhere on the left-hand side, or because black is on the left-hand side on the top, I hit the Option, Delete, and that fills it with black. Next thing I want to do, which is weird, but I'm going to do it anyway, I'm going to go to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. And the settings on this are 400%, distribution is Gaussian, and monochromatic. If you don't do monochromatic, it turns it into colors like that, but we're going to do monochromatic. And when I first saw this technique, I'm going to say, what? That don't look like a barcode. So I'm going to click OK, and that still doesn't look like a barcode. And at this point, I can deselect the marquee, and I want to go to another marquee tool, which I've taken out of my marquees. Right now I have elliptical and rectangle marquees set up there. I want, believe it or not, the single row marquee tool. So I have to go to my other tools and find single row marquee tool. And I'm going to start at the bottom. And you can see that it's set up a single row marquee. Let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. It's not perfect at the bottom, but it'll work for what we want to do. And one pixel is selected all the way across. You're going, what the heck? So when I do that, I want to do a Command or Control T, free transform, and I'm going to take the center dot, which you can't see right now, and just drag it upwards. And that did not work. Why did that not work?
It looked like it started to at the beginning and then
I can
just
tell you what happened. You know this link up here in the free transform? It was linked, so it made it bigger all the way around. That was the project I was working on that I unlinked it. So if I do it now,
No.
oh.
Oh. Huh.
and then drag it down just a little so it's covered, and hit enter. That's almost a marquee there, right? I mean, so deselect everything again. Um, what I need to do now is get a full marquee, and I am going to that's about center right there. You can see that it's center because I get this little purple line that crops up on me. That tells me that it's centered right now. I'm going to do that. And I could hit the erase tool, or I can just hit delete. Or not. Why is that not doing that? Huh, interesting.
Because you're in background.
Because I'm in background. Okay, let's do this. Escape, deselect, Command J. We'll do the same thing over again. Get it centered. Now if I hit delete, hopefully, it deleted. But I don't want that. I want to fill it with white. So Command Z. That would have worked with the background. So let me do that anyway. Drag that to the bottom. Fill with white. And deselect again. And we're going to add some letters or numbers down at the bottom. So let's go to the type tool, T for type. And I need to make that a little bit bigger. Arial regular, that's perfect. And let's type in and center it, 8675309. And there you have a barcode. Super easy, almost. Did anybody get that one? I hear Mel laughing.
I got the number.
Okay. So that's how hard it is to make a scan code. I was surprised because it used a single row marquee, and I'm going, I've never used that before, and took it out of my toolbar. So any questions on that?
How come I don't have a banana?
How come you don't have a banana?
Yeah,
Because you haven't taken my class before.
dang it.
Okay, everybody, do you guys want a banana, or is he the only one that doesn't have one? Okay, I'll do a banana for you. Here we go. Edit toolbar, done. I no longer have a banana. Hang on, let me close this guy so we focus on that. Don't save. Okay, my banana's gone. So if I go to edit toolbar again, do my edit to where I drag out, there's my single row marquee off to the right. In fact, let me move these guys up, or at least that one up. So when I do it later, I'll have it. Okay, if I hit done, I get 3 dots there. If I hold shift and done, it should bring up a banana. Just that simple.
Okay.
And James, you will get this next week, I promise you.
And
In
there's
fact,
your Easter egg.
there's your Easter egg for the day. Just remind me in class that we have to do the banana so everybody can have it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You betcha. Any questions on what we did today? Going once, going twice. Okay, here we go.